Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos for an album release, but the time has come once again for the next album from yours truly, Carver Scott. Album, as you've probably seen in the title, called Afrikan Art. So again, the last official full album came out in about 2021, almost 5 years ago, 5 full years ago, not quite, 4 and some change. But again, we have the next full album from me in a similar vein. Again, the last album, Doble Ciudadanía, was a mixture between the what I would call the Afro-influenced music from the United States and where I currently was at that time, mixture between the candombe music from Uruguay. So did that kind of half and half. First half of the album was US influence, Afro music, and the second half was Uruguayan Afro music influence. And this one here, Afrikan Art, comes with a similar theme, but as you can tell, it's called Afrikan Art, so the basis of it comes from the musical influence from the continent of Africa. There's no specific place I would say that is the one influence, but mainly the album is influenced through percussions, different rhythms that come from the African diaspora in the continent of Africa itself, but also there's a mixture of music from the diaspora in the Americas, in particular the US, but there's also a mixture of the African, of the both sides of the world and their musical styles. So that's what the kind of album is musically, in a sense. But let me explain first how the album came to be, why I even made it, and just different influences behind it as well. I'll start with the title. The title is called Afrikan Art. It's very simple, I would say. It kind of portrays a message, but there's this particular meaning behind it as well. And this relates to also the reason and I guess the motive behind the album. My father, who passed away about, say, 19 years ago, I want to say, was a man who was very connected to the continent of Africa. He always taught us and made sure that we knew things about our history as far as people in the African American diaspora. You know, many of our ancestors were brought forcefully to the Americas, so it was important to him, my father, to instill some kind of knowledge and history and connection with the continent of Africa. And because of that, you know, we had many things. We went as a family to visit Africa and Senegal. We had different pieces of African art in our home as well. And on top of that, my father also sold African art. So that was, I would say, a significant, an important part of, you know, just him connecting, in a sense, with the culture. So again, that's kind of the different reasons why I named this Afrikan Art, because it's very something that was very closely tied to my father, in a sense. So I took that concept and just connected it to my musical album, which again, I'll explain the musical influences. Basically, I'll say this first. So what started the creative process was not the idea or the concept of the album of Afrikan Art, but really I bought a sound pack. For those who don't know, I use different virtual instruments, sometimes for different kinds of compositions. I compose music on a regular basis. So I bought a certain sound pack that was particularly with percussion and instruments related to just basically the African diaspora. So I bought that from Spitfire, shout out to Spitfire, a different company that has different virtual instruments that they use. And so I started playing around with it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the money for it, so I started to create things. And from a natural standpoint, I guess you can say that the different sounds that the instruments gave me kind of drew that out of me, you know what I'm saying? Again, it's a part of what I had known naturally. So experimenting with those different sounds, different percussions, and just different things, I started to create just things randomly. And then after a while, I was like, hey, this might be something. I could probably develop that. And that's initially where the idea came from. And again, focusing more on the theme of African rhythm, African percussion, that's basically where I was like, let me put this all together, let me do something intentionally, and I put this name to it called Afrikan Art, and made it as sort of a musical homage to my father. Again, rest in peace. Something to kind of dedicate to his memory, to part of the things that he taught us, me and my siblings as well, in our lifetime. So again, it's just a way to honor him, in a sense, in the musical form. And so that's why I kind of, put this all together, and that's where it came from. So something that's interesting about this piece of work is that really I started the creative process on it and really composed everything over 3 years ago. I think by the end of 2022, I had most of the compositions done. I think we finally composed, I'll say, the last ones on around February 2023. However, we are now in 2026, more than 3 years later, and the album's just now coming out. So I'll say this, there were a couple of hang-ups, we'll say, because I had a lot of collaborations, different people working on this album together. So finally, I was able to, get in touch with the right people. Some people, didn't come through. Other ones had to, redo some things with. But at the end, we were finally able to get it together. And the most interesting part about this is that when I started this album, I did not suspect that I would actually finish the album being in the continent of Africa. I'm actually living here right now for a short time. It's not permanently, but I had no clue that I would be here, again, living in this continent for this time as I'm finishing this album and about to release the album, So it's a very interesting thing. And I'll add on top of that I'm here because my wife's from here. She's from East Africa, from Ethiopia in particular. And, we were recently married. And again, another interesting thing is I didn't even know her when I started on the album, some years ago. So again, it's just crazy how the process overall has come about. But I guess you can say it's divine intervention. It was always the plan, some kind of way by a higher power than me. God knows his way. But anyhow, it's just an interesting fact about the album and just things that have happened in this creative process. So again, most of it was done, completed over 3 years, but now 3 years here, we're releasing the album. And I'll mention this too as an important extra piece to it. So the release date is on March 18th. And again, for a while, I've been thinking about different release dates. When should I release it? When was I thinking about actually going to finish the album? And I didn't know. And the time's coming up where it's just like, oh, I finished the album in February of this year, 2026. And I was like, still thinking about, it's done now. So when do we release it? And the last track of the album is called March 18th. And there's a particular reason for it. As I mentioned before, the dedication for the album is to my father, and he would happen to be born on March 18th. So it's always kind of coming around. Again, for the last track, I've had the name for that track in place for years also, but things just seem to line up at the perfect time where it's like, might as well release it on his birthday as well to pay even, to honor even more part of what this album means in that sense. So that's, a little extra tidbit as far as what's going around. So everything seems to be coming full circle, releasing the album while being in Africa, finishing it in Africa, releasing it on my father's birthday as well. It's just an interesting progression of events throughout this all. So I talked a bit about the musical styles and what influenced the actual music that was composed. I'll start by saying this, that all the music is 100% composed by me. I composed everything, it's all original music. I played all the music as well. Again, it's a mixture of virtual instruments. Again, if you don't know what that is, it's just basically you're playing the music through, could be a keyboard or MIDI, and different sounds are being produced according to what sound you choose. So I played a lot of it through MIDI, composed all that and put it together. But also I played some instruments live as well. So a lot of, I'm not sure if I would say all of it, but there's quite a bit of percussion that I played live. There's some drums that we had, again, from our family, from my dad, that I played live on some of the songs. Other ones from candombe, the tambor, piano, played that in some of the songs too. So just different things that mixture between live played music and different VSTs. Again, it's all being played live, but just how they're recorded, we'll say, is a different process. But again, so I did all that, and again, all the music composed by me, but I collaborated with lots of different people, mostly vocalists. So I'll talk about a bit about the styles of music. Again, every song has some kind of influence of African rhythm or percussion, but I've also mixed a lot of it with Western styles of African-based music. So a lot of songs have elements of jazz in it, improvisation, things like that, a lot of jazz mixed in. There's gospel that appears on the songs as well. There's rap music also, and different singing also, so there's different things. There's a few different languages that are incorporated. There's English incorporated. Swahili was the language that a lot of songs are based in. So a lot of songs that you hear, if you don't understand it, it's just in Swahili. Other songs are in Spanish also. There's a little bit of Amharic also on the album because of my wife. So again, there's different elements of African languages, African rhythms, music, all mixed in together to provide you with, I guess you could say, an eclectic or just a variety of different musical styles. But again, it's all kind of unified by the rhythm and the bass of it all. So yeah, just keep that in mind as you're listening. Again, collaborated with different people, singers, rappers, just people adding their voices to the tracks as well. Proud to say, got two actual Africans, not African Americans, but Africans who have participated on there as well on the tracks. A few different rappers as well, a few different vocalists, singers. Again, the crazy thing, I didn't mention this as well. This is also a crazy part of the creative process, but this album, again, was made on different continents. So it's interesting to see the application and how different people from different continents contributed. People from Uruguay, people from the US, people from Africa, all again, and recorded on these completely different continents, which again wasn't necessarily part of the plan, but it's how things came up. So it's just interesting to think about that. I'll try to mention briefly a few of my favorite tracks. One track that I listened to literally probably every day for at least 2 years or a year and a half, I'm not sure, was the song called Ohio Africans, and that's the one that has the most guest appearances on it. Collaborated with some old friends of mine who I've known since high school. Two of my cousins as well are featured on the track. So it's five of us all together, and it's Ohio Africans. That's the theme of it. It's a rap song, so it's a good collaboration between them. One of my favorite tracks, which is also kind of I guess you can say the motto or the main theme of the album Afrikan Art. It's called Afrikan Hearts, which again is featured by Vicky Britos. She's on the album singing, on that song singing. And again, she kind of came in clutch in a certain way because I had a person in mind to do the track, but again, like I said earlier before, certain things didn't pan out. So I saw her, I didn't know she even sang. I knew her for a while before, didn't know that she even sang, but then I saw some stuff on Instagram of her. She was singing, I was like, hey, maybe this could work, And then we eventually linked up and were able to collaborate, and she was the perfect voice for that song. So I'm thankful to her, and just different things like that. Different kind of collaborations all came together and made it work, I want to emphasize this too, because this is also something that was important to me in the creative process. So again, the album is called Afrikan Art, and what I wanted to make sure that I did was have all the participants on the album be African descendants. They were people who had bloodlines coming from the people of Africa. That was very important to me, because I wanted the music to represent it, but also the people who are participating in the creation of the music to be of that lineage. So that's very important. So any voice you hear on there, any music that was done is by someone who's in a descendant of the African people, whether they be directly from Africa or just from the African diaspora as well. I mentioned a couple of tracks on there, Afrikan Art, Ohio Africans, but there's a lot of different ones. I encourage you all to check it out. You know, buy the album. Listen to it on Spotify, streaming places, wherever. But again, as you're listening to it, I structure all my albums in a certain way. You know, I want them all to flow, to kind of tell a story. I won't say that there's a specific story I'm trying to tell in particular, but I want you to, more than anything, see the progression. There's lots of different songs. There's faster songs, there's slower songs, chill, upbeat, things that are in the middle, things that are expressing different moods, feelings, expressing joy, expressing, I guess you can say sorrow or pain, different things like that. So I think I included a wide breadth of musical styles, but also musical content and what the words of the songs are actually saying. A lot of people might not understand natively what some of the songs say, especially if they're in Swahili or a different language that you're not familiar with. But you know, it's going to take you on a journey, and that's what I wanted to kind of say with the album, because again, the African people is not just one thing. You know what I'm saying? We're very diverse, and I wanted to show that diversity, but also the unity in the music. So again, you'll find a lot of different things in this album, and my hope is that you all just enjoy it, because again, it's something that's come from the heart. It wasn't forced either. You know what I'm saying? I didn't force this music. It came very naturally, and I think that's when my best music comes out, when it's just something that comes creatively and I just get inspired and make it. A lot of stuff, like even the song Afrikan Heart, I made that in all of it in one night. You know what I'm saying? We didn't record it that same night as far as the vocals go, but I had my own vocal mind and everything already lined up, so that when Vicky came and she did it, it was already laid. Excuse me. It was already laid out. So I think again, it's a natural thing that came from me, and that's what's important, because again, it's from the heart. You know, it's from my African heart, we'll say. But anyhow, go ahead and check out the album. Available in all digital platforms, March 18th, 2026. Spotify, Amazon, you can get it, buy it on there. iTunes, Apple Music, should be on Pandora, wherever you can find digital music, it'll be on there. So again, check it out. Another album's coming out the day before. We're in the music making mode. Divine Conversations, I'll go ahead and plug that in with Parable and Ice. Rap album, completely rap album, 15 tracks. Afrikan Art has 18 tracks altogether. So again, great music coming your way. And so I encourage you all to check it out. Go buy the album, support it. Yeah, and that's it. Buy the albums, both albums. But even if you can't buy it, go listen to it on streaming services, and yeah, we'll keep on making great music. See you all later.